Hey, this is Mike with Tech Conversations, and I want to make a video today about why the Fold series, why it wins in the foldable wars. And, this is to me a good topic because as someone who's owned a lot of these Chinese versions, the Vivo Fold X, the OnePlus Open, and I didn't get my hands on the Honor Magic. That is a really, really good device. But I've had the Z Fold 5, the Z Fold 6. There's something that I think it gets overlooked in real time. If you go Google Vivo X Fold or the Honor Magic V3, you're going to see things like the best camera in its class or the thinnest phone, the thinnest foldable in the world. And all of those headline features, while they sound great, they don't really matter in real-time usage. Like when you're using your device every single day, you're putting it in your pocket, you're taking it out of your pocket, you're opening it up, you're sitting around bored, you're waiting around for somebody to finish, you're waiting in the car for your wife, she's coming out the store, whatever it may be, just a task you do, taking a note, sending a message, doing business. The thinness, you don't care about that. The camera, the camera quality is great, but at the end of the day, there's more than just the best camera features that are going to need in a phone. And I want to talk about those things. So if you're the kind of person that's like, I want to understand just what's my experience going to be, well, then I really want to point you to the Z Fold. Now, look, I think the OnePlus Open is an amazing device, but, we're going to get into some of the things here that I think play in to why this overall pound for pound has to be the best foldable. It's debatable, but let's talk about it. First off, we know what the common complaints are about this Z Fold. This is the Z Fold 6. Okay, this is the white version. We know the common complaints about it. Battery capacity, too low, right? It's like 4,400, something like that. Obviously, that's too low. Battery charging, 25 watt, wired, not okay, right? We know about the cameras. All right, there's a triple camera setup, but we got like 12, we got like 50 megapixel and 10 and 12, or just 12 and 12, but we want them to be at least all 50. We want the main sensor maybe to be 200 megapixel, all right? The curve, or the crease rather, inside the device, we want that crease to be less noticeable. Okay, those are some of the common complaints that you're going to hear about the Fold 6. We all know them. But folks, when you are going to use a foldable device, this is the premium experience you want. If we just time travel back 15 years or so, and you go back to the iPhone, we could have said the same limitations with the iPhone. The iPhone lacked a lot of the hardware benefits that you would find in other devices, but yet it was still supreme. What the iPhone lacked in hardware, it made up for in software. It was the best experience you could have on a phone. That was the most stable, the most fluid. There was so much support for it. And I think that Samsung has gotten to a point with the Fold where it's like the software on this device has made it to just be so far above these other foldables. So even when they come in with their high specs, they just can't compare. Let me give you an example. The OnePlus Open, great device. Love that device. You've heard a lot of good reviews on it, and you should. It's great to use. But my biggest issue with the OnePlus was the way it felt in the hand. It does not have that same premium feel and grip that you're gonna get on this OnePlus 6. Even the the Z Fold 6, even the Z Fold 5 still has a nice, better grip and feel in the hand than I would say that OnePlus Open. That camera bump that was so big, at first, it's like, okay, whatever, you have the big camera bump, you just kind of rest your hand underneath it. But man, it gets in the way of holding it properly. This, just being able to just grip it in this way, it feels really, really good in the hand. Another concern about it for me, this is just my opinion, folks, was the side button. That side mounted fingerprint, that power button / fingerprint sensor, it was not easy to press. In other words, it was not conveniently placed. This is so well placed. It feels really good. So to double click for a camera, or to do whatever shortcuts you have on it, it feels so good and responsive on this Z Fold 6 and even the Z Fold 5, but on the Z Fold 6, it feels so responsive. It's a pleasure to use. I had such a problem with the OnePlus and how it felt that I actually was craving, I wanted the Vivo Fold X. One of the reasons was because it had that on-display fingerprint sensor. And it was because I didn't like the way the side-mounted power button was mixed with the fingerprint. There was just a lag on it. It just didn't feel good. When I was double pressing for the camera, it felt kind of buggy to me. It just it didn't give me that premium experience. Again, this is just my opinion, all right? So the build quality, even on the Samsung, I do think that they have, in a sense, perfected it. You know, people may say, look, I don't like the cover screen being so small. This is a really good form factor, in my opinion. It gives the best of all right, I'm talking about. This gives the best of both worlds. And I have a video that kind of talks about that. Really getting the best of both worlds with a really small form factor, but then also still having access to that large form factor when you need it. Let me give you another thing about the Fold. This is more on the software side, that even though these other Chinese phones may have, and these other really great hardware spec'd out phones have, okay, that they lack would be in that home screen customization, okay? So we all know this. You can take your home screen, you can have a home screen here that you may use when the phone is folded, okay? Why? Because you want to do some quick work, and so you may want your home screen to reflect and look a certain way, right? You may want it to have a certain look because you just want to use it just real quick to do what you have to do. So your apps are going to be arranged in a certain way. But when you open it up, you know, you're going to get to work. You got business, right? So you want a certain kind of experience because you're doing some work, right? But with the other foldables, you have to mimic the same format you have in the cover screen here as you have when you open it. That's that's limiting. I don't like that. I like being able to have the flexibility to change it up and to customize it. And not only does Samsung do that, if you really do still like the the more limited way where the cover screen has to look the same here as it does on the inside, you can set a button in the settings and make it so. Okay, so Samsung gives you that option, and I think it's great. You know, let me give you another option. Let me give you another thing about the software, right? Let's suppose you're watching, let's see here. All right, let's suppose that you're watching YouTube, okay? Or let's start here. The app's continuing on the cover screen when you close. Most of the other phones, if not all the other foldables, have a section in the settings that allow you to decide whether when you close your device, do you want the app screen, do you want the phone to continue and stay open, or do you want it to close like this and you're done, all right? All of them offer an option. Some of them, like the OnePlus, and I think even the Honor Magic, will say there's a way you can swipe up if you want to continue. It gives you the option to continue, so it doesn't have to be either or. It's not either it stays working when you close it or it just powers the phone down. No, you can have an option every single time, okay? But Samsung takes it a step further. Samsung says, you know what? You may have some apps, you may want it to always close, but there are some apps that you just want to always have remain open, and you don't want to have to think about it. You don't want to have to swipe up every time. You just want it to flow. And I'll give you an example. Now let's go to my example. So let's suppose, so for me, I have YouTube here, okay? So if I'm watching something, you know, on YouTube, okay, and I close it, it's still gonna stay on here, all right? However, if I'm using another app, like let's suppose I'm using this app here, okay, and I go ahead and close it, it's gonna be closed and it's just gonna power off, and that's the end of it. And I think that that's a really, really convenient feature, and it's just one of those software tweaks that it makes a difference when you're using your phone day in and day out and you're customizing, it makes a big difference. Let me give you something else that's pretty awesome about this software. Okay, most of these, you know what? I don't like that changing. Let me go ahead. I don't like the landscape. Some of you may like that. Hit me up in the comments if you like to have landscape or rotation on your home screen. I do not like that. All right, so always on display customization. I like my always on display to have a lot of customization with this, okay? And many of the foldable phones, oh man, they have amazing specs, but you know what? It's very limited in how you can handle the always on display. So for instance, if you want to do the always on display, you know, you would just go here, okay, and you can click on this and you got all these different color options. Now in the other phones, they will give you options, but they're just preset colors like this. Whereas Samsung gives you the opportunity to give you any color that you want on the spectrum, all right? That is awesome. But then we also can have styles. You can change the style to reflect what you would like to have on your phone. So if you like a different type of style in terms of like the font, you can have that changed. That's another really, really good feature. But wait, there's more. If you want to step out and say, hey, I want to, you get good lock, all right, which we will talk about later. You get good lock, you can go and change this clock face, go to clock face, and you can further customize your lock screen and add different components. Okay, you can add an image, you can add a GIF, you can add weather, you can add an analog, you can add all these different components. You can change the, have even more fonts available, have more styles, more colors. You can actually change different colors. So like you can have a color for the hour, a different color for the colon, a different color for the minutes. I mean, it just gives you endless possibilities to customize the experience you have of that always on display. You're not going to get that in other foldable devices. Let me give you something else that's pretty cool. Floating windows. So not every foldable device is going to have floating windows. I'm looking at you, Google Pixel 9 Fold. It does not have floating windows. Floating windows to me is excellent to have. Excellent. I love it. Now, when you're done with the floating window, you can just close it right here. And that's what I want to talk about. I love how you have that widget that's just always there. So if I ever need to just quickly open and just, hey, I want to just check something, I want to cross-reference something on ChatGPT, I can do that. And then I can keep continuously, I can add, a pretty decent amount, okay? And look, I think the limit is about 5. But my point is that, you know, you can really customize this. If I close them here, look, they're all gonna be within a widget. And if I hit this, they're there for you, available to choose which one you want to use. No other foldable has it this fluid, okay? The Honor Magic V3 does have kind of like these cards that stay on the side, but man, it's not as user-friendly and fluid as this right here, man. You're not gonna find it. This is what makes this king of multitasking. This phone is king of multitasking. And you know what? Let me just go on to give you another example that you're gonna find with these other phones with the high specs. For those of you chasing specs, again, I'm gonna discourage that because we're chasing all these specs, but the software, let me give you another example. So if you are using, let's say like a OnePlus Open or a Vivo Fold, and you are going to use a side window like this or a side panel, you're expecting it to work properly. You're expecting to say, oh, I'm going to take this, and they have floating windows, or they can use like a split screen kind of setup there. But there are certain times where you may try to take an app and go ahead and put it in a floating window or a split screen, and you'll get an error message saying this app does not support those kind of modifications. Well, guess what? With Samsung, I can go here into settings and I can actually change this mode. I can change the mode over in advanced features and force it, okay? Show multi-window, that's not the one I'm looking for, multi-window for all apps. I can allow all apps to open in pop-up view or split screen, including apps that haven't been designed for these layouts. Guys, that is such an amazing feature to have. That's such a clutch feature. Imagine you're over here using your nice foldable that you got from with a Chinese ROM on it. You know, you spent $2,000 on it. You waited 2 weeks to get that phone. You know, okay, maybe you would have got the One Plus, and it's global. You can get it quicker, but you can't even use it in the way you want to because it's strangely not optimized for it. You don't ever know what app is going to be optimized and not optimized. Settings seems to be a pretty consistent app that they will not allow to be in the floating window. However, and the same thing, this comes stock with settings not working in the floating window. However, because of this feature, now I can do what I want to do with it. I can create a floating window just easily like that. Just how I glided my hand like that, I can create a floating window. So another example of how the software works so well. Let's think of another example. Let's talk about another example, the camera. So yes, I know that the camera doesn't have the same type of power that a lot of these other Chinese phones and more hardware spec'd out phones have. But you know what? It has so many great options. I'll give you an example. When I had the Vivo Fold X, I was not able to do a dual screen, a cover screen preview. I was not able to have both this front screen on and the back screen on. I was not able to do that. Okay, that to me was just, you pay that money for that phone, you want to be able to have access to little features like that. I wasn't able to have all these different options. Okay, there was no dual recording on there. Okay, why not? Why can't I have dual recording? That's something that like, even if you don't use it, I want to have it. I should be able to have access to it. I like this, this food mode. Really, I like to take good photos. Good, if you've been on this channel, you've seen some of my photos. You see, I have photos of like nice meals and food. I like to do that. You have an option here to do something like that. There are just so many modes here in Samsung that you won't get a lot of times with these other foldables. Even the Pixel, you won't get them. So I think that's cool. You have the AR where you can have augmented reality in your shots. You have Bixby Vision, which you may not even need to use, but they just throw all that software at you. Let me give you something else that my Vivo was not able to do, okay? I don't even think my OnePlus was able to do this. I have to double check. I don't think my OnePlus was able to do it, but QR scanning. If something had a QR code in it, I had to download an app or get Google Lens and use Google Lens in order to pick this up. Whereas I just take my camera and go here in the screen. Here we go. And I'm trying to do this behind the camera. So this is another app that I have, the camera that continues. But, all right. All right, one second. Wait a minute, let me make sure the setting. Do I have that in the setting? Because it does work. Let's see, QR code. The settings on. QR code. All right, so I don't know. Oh, here we go. Not available with the current picture size. Okay, cool. So if I just change the megapixel size here and I do QR code, I can actually pick up here, all right? And I can go to the website. I could not do that with my Vivo. I mean, that's, it's something you almost take for granted to work, but something simple like that, my phone, those highly spec phones were not able to do. And these are not the things that are going to get covered in a review for these phones. You won't see that covered. You're going to see, oh, world's thinnest phone, or best camera, or look at the width of this cover screen, or okay, that's all great. But if I need to if I want to quickly scan something because I'm like, oh man, that product looks really cool. Let me quickly scan it, but then I can't. Come on, man. You want to be able to go ahead and scan it and go right to the app and move that way. That's how you want to be able to function. You don't have to deal with that. So these are the little things that you have to think of. All right. Let me give you something else that is really cool. That I think you should know about. If you got to know this already. If you found this channel, you know. But good lock. You heard me mention good lock. This sets Samsung apart from everyone else. This one app right here. Okay, this is a must. This is a mandatory app that you need to put on your phone. You only get it on the Galaxy phones by going into the store first and then getting it on the Galaxy store. You will not find it in the Play Store. Okay, it's not there. It's only going to be in the regular in the Galaxy store. But this app allows you to do things with your phone that guaranteed you will not be able to do on any one of your phones. The fact that I can just turn this over and hold my power button and turn my flashlight on and off, that has everything to do with good lock, being able to re-register and rewrap my buttons. Let me give you another example. If I want to say I disabled Bixby being here because I have long press set to be flashlight. Typically long press is set to wake up Bixby. But no, I have it so if I double tap the back of the phone, that is what wakes up Bixby. Okay? So look, here again. There we go. Double tap wakes Bixby up. All right. That to me, you can't get that kind of customization on any other device. So basically, however you want your phone to function, it's gonna function that way for you. All right. It is gonna function that way for you. So amazing. Okay. I have this app called Standby. So if you like to have your I didn't even set it up yet, but if you like to have that kind of look that you do on a what do you call it, on your iPhone when you have it waiting on the stand, like when you charge it, that kind of display, that standby mode. I have it so if I double tap 3 times, it pulls it right up. And this is a really cool app. It's called Standby app. Okay, it's a desktop app. It's really cool, and it will automatically turn on when I charge the phone. But if I'm just like, hey, I'm chilling out right now and I just wanna place it, you can do that. I don't know why it's not, the landscape mode is moving. I'd like it to, but it's not moving right now. It's not shifting. Okay, over here making a video about the stability of the software of Samsung, and it's bugging out on me right now. It doesn't typically do that, but that's just an example of how like I can really make this phone be what I want it to be. And that brings me to another point. You see how I have this right now? You see how I'm using this and I have the hinge back here like that? You won't be able to get this kind of hinge mobility with these other phones. Okay, they have really good hinges because they make them really thin so that they can have thin devices. But look how I'm able to, look at the angles I'm able to hold with this phone. Almost closed, and look at this, almost flat. Okay, and why is that important? Because if I'm chilling and I'm sitting down at a and I'm, let's just say with my S Pen and I'm just sitting down relaxing, I can just go here and comfortably use this as my phone is like, has its own kind of stand, and I can just, with the S Pen, just browse and have my phone nearly open, okay, but not all the way open, right? That is a wonderful, wonderful feature, all right? It's just has a nice tilt to it. You won't get that in these other phones. They're not able to do that. If after you get to this point, it just goes flat, okay? Or if you get it to this point, it just closes. This hinge that they made is so well built. Now I know it's not a software thing, but it's just another picture of how, even though Samsung has those little, doesn't have those big specs that you want from the camera or the battery, it's still a premium built. This is, in my opinion, like the iPhone of the foldables, in my opinion. Okay, And just, again, that design and comfort, you're not going to find it anywhere else. So that's where I'm going to stop from now. I just wanted to make a quick video because I thought it needed to be said for why, at the end of the day, this wins pound for pound. Now, that doesn't mean I don't understand why somebody would not choose this, because if you're the kind of person who you don't have time to charge, wherever your work is, you're just out and about, you're using your phone, and you want to be able to put it down on a charge and be able to get it back working right away, you want a Vivo, you want a OnePlus. I would even say the Vivo, because that has a 100-watt capacity battery, and it charges fully in about 25 to 30 minutes. All right, up to full capacity. It has like a 5,700 milliamp battery. So that's great, man. You should go for a phone like that. But if somebody was saying, I want to get my first foldable phone, you want to get someone their first foldable phone, you want to get them this bad boy, because this is going to be able to optimize to what they need. This is going to be able to customize so that your phone can look, it can really meet the needs of a beginner. You don't have to learn it, it will learn you. You can make it be what you want it to be. Now, with that being said, you do have to learn a Samsung, because there's so much you can do with it, all right? But there's so many options that it can make anyone feel at home. If you're transitioning from whatever device you're transitioning from, it's gonna make you feel at home because the software on it is so robust. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. Like, what do you think? Do you think that maybe I'm tripping here? Do you think that maybe you have another device that you can say would beat this in terms of software? How do you guys feel about the build quality of this device? I know I mentioned it. I love to hear some of your thoughts, but I think at the end of the day, I got to stick with this one. The only other one I would consider to this, to be honest, would be the Honor Magic. I'd like to get my hands on that device to test it out, but let me know if you want me to do that. But the Honor Magic, I think, is the V3. It's you don't want it to be so thin, because that's not this here, guys. If you ever just been in a Best Buy, go and hold this. This actually feels really good to have these. It's pretty good, this size, this width. If it was really thin, that'd almost be kind of difficult to open. It's not as manageable. I prefer holding this than the Vivo X. The Vivo X is super powerful, okay? But I know that when I pull this out my pocket, I know it's gonna be open, right? I know that it's gonna be on my home screen. I couldn't do that with the Vivo X, because the Vivo X, it's smooth on the glass, it's smooth on the back, and you have to put your finger on the screen for the fingerprint scanner. I don't know where my finger, I can't, it's too hard. I almost got to wait until I bring it up here to open it and know what I'm doing, right? Whereas now, I don't even have to look. I could just open my phone without looking, okay? And that's what's so cool about this side-mounted fingerprint scanner when it's done right. So give me your thoughts. I'm curious to know. I've been talking a lot. This is Mike signing off. God bless you and have a good day.